My name is Arielle Kayabaga. I'm the Liberal Member of Parliament for London West. So I first ran for political office on a city level, and the reason why I had attended a meeting on public transportation, and I listened to conversation go on about different thoughts and opinions about how people view public transportation. And I just thought that's really interesting because many of the people who are making those decisions do not take public transportation. And it made me wonder about all the other policies that are being decided in these kinds of spaces that do not reflect the entire city. And that's what pushed me to run. As an MP, I moved a motion called M59. I encourage everybody to check it out. It's basically a framework to provide accessibility to non-visible disabilities. So these are people who are usually very discriminated against when they need to access housing. And so many people in my riding, especially women of color, who I had so many conversations with, and we really needed to make sure that housing is accessible to everyone. And I was checking my motion today, and it's pretty cool because Jim Carr, who is one of our colleagues who just passed on, had seconded it before he passes on, which really makes me feel really good to know that such an amazing human being was able to second this motion. And once it passes in the House, it will be a piece of legislation that's going to be affecting Canadians across the entire country. And I'm very proud of that because it's my first year here and I've been able to pass a piece of legislation. I am motivated to go to work every day by my son, my immigrant mom, my immigrant family members, friends, my community, folks who really believe in the system, folks who think that this country has been really good to us, and folks who want justice and equity and access to all the services that this great country has to offer. Lots. My first time in QP really taught me that politics on the federal level is very different from politics on the municipal level. Sitting on committees has taught me that politics at the federal level is quite different at the city level. When I was a city councillor, I think we could pass about 300 motions a week. At the federal level, it's quite different because there's so many intricacies that we have to work through, and so many political parties and the administration and making sure that we're making the right decision for all Canadians is much more complicated than passing motions at the city level. Well, I think I'm going to talk about M59. M59 is also secondly joined by two members who are not of the Liberal Party. They're the Green Party, which is Elizabeth May and Mike Morris. And I'm very proud of that. I'm proud that they can support that motion. And I've also heard from many members from across the aisle who think that it's a great motion and look forward to supporting it. I think the challenges to democracy today is misinformation and disinformation and fear-mongering and making people think that there's this thing happening outside of their control and bringing them to hyper-focus on the things that aren't necessarily true. I think social media has been a great tool for a lot of people, but it's also been, to our disadvantage, a tool for a lot of misinformation, disinformation, attacks on politicians, women in politics, women of color. I think about people who read quick news on social media and believe that to be the reality of what's happening. I can build my own narrative and pass it to you, and you're gonna think it's true without doing the research. And it should be feared. And that's a huge threat to our democracy. It's also a huge threat to our future. If people are not doing proper research, they're not able to make informed decisions. So I don't know how we're gonna put that all in control, but I think having some of the policies that we've already introduced to protect people online, to combat racism across Canada, could potentially continue to help. But I think the conversation needs to continue to be had around the disinformation and misinformation that happens online. I'm hopeful that we have a young generation of people who care, who are thoughtful, who are resilient, because truth be told, the pandemic was not an easy thing to go through. If you look at the world at its state right now, there's a lot of different challenges that are happening that are making it more real for people to advocate for themselves in a way that they understand the impact of the issues that are happening to them. I remember when I was 20 years old talking about climate change, like, people were not listening. Today,